Let's talk about AI. It's something that everybody's been talking about. And what is strangely kind of cool, but also terrifying, is that the people who are on the front lines, meaning those who this really affects, right? It's actually the teachers, because we are the ones who are having to make some very, very big decisions about how we handle this with children, not at our house, but in a learning capacity. What do we do? What's ethical? How do we prepare them for the future, but not handicap them with their skills? There's so much to consider. So I'm going to break down what I think are some things that we should consider and think about in the back of our minds, and then some actual things that you could do starting tomorrow to use AI to help you out and for your students to use in a way that is settling for me. Because honestly, when AI came out, it started to kind of break my teacher heart, because I thought, oh no, the end of writing? No. I'm going to put on my teacher glasses while we have this conversation. AI in the ELA classroom. I've been thinking about it a lot while simultaneously telling myself to stop thinking about it. I don't know if you've been having similar feelings of like, oh, some days I really want to dig into it and learn everything, and some days I really want to run away from it. It's this weird mix of yay and boo. So let's talk about what you can do as an ELA teacher. And we're the ones who are going to have to make some really big decisions. And let's say when Chat GPT came around, most of us may have logged in and done some personal stuff. Oh, it can do this, it can do that. It can like plan my whole shopping list. It can tell me how to get on the right train in Japan. I did use it when we were in Tokyo, and it helped, I would say, about 80% of the time. And sometimes it would tell me we got off at the wrong stop at one of them because it did not know. So directions, but it's hard when you're in another country and you're like, and ChatGPT is so sure of itself. Oh, you just have to get off at this one. No, that's not true. That was a long walk in Tokyo. So there's how everybody else is using it. Like, oh, let's use it to write our marketing emails and all that. And then there's us. There's the ELA teachers. And we have these kids who are just now learning how to write and forming decisions in their minds about how they feel about writing, right about the time that AI comes out. I have this feeling that in like 50 years, those people are going to be like, oh my gosh, could you imagine being a teacher back in 2025, the first year this came out? How did they handle this? So as long as we are talking to each other and weighing things out, and maybe even folding the kids in on some of this information and having them think through some of this as well, that could help us get to where we're going ultimately. But there are some things that I want us to consider. And let me back out. Let me back way out for a little bit. I'll give you my big overarching concern, and then I'll tell you what we could do. Here's my big overarching concern is that if AI, artificial intelligence, learns through information that it ingests, basically on the web, if we rely on it too much to then create all of our blog posts and research and everything that we do, then won't eventually it just start training itself on itself? Won't it become a snake that's eating its tail? I mean, I don't see, like, if you take everything and then you go ahead 150 years, what does it look like? Is there humanity in it? I mean, that's my concern. And within that, then you lose our humanity. We lose our, not humanity. I'm not one of those that necessarily thinks it's going to turn around and start shooting us. I just think that our creativity and our productivity might actually go down because we start to lose that like buy-in of what we're doing. We kind of become a little, okay, that's big picture stuff. Those are my concerns, that we lose human stories. We have less human experience stories. And then what is written has been fed to it by itself. So it's not, we've lost the thread. So here's what I like to say to my students before AI came around, which was that you have to learn the rules to break the rules. So, because I would let them do kind of really interesting stuff in their narrative and personal writing, but I would always say, as long as you know the rules, then you can break the rules. And the key is, especially with AI, is that they need to know what good writing looks like in order for them to tell AI if it's doing it wrong. Now, the thing is with writing, and I've talked about this a lot, is that writing is subjective. It's not objective, even though we might feel like it is with rubrics and everything and numbers we could attach to it. We're still using opinion when we're deciding whether this is above level or, below. So it's subjective. So there isn't like necessarily a right or a wrong reason. And here's what my problem with AI in some instances is that it's not just that it gets it wrong sometimes, and it does. And then you tell him it's wrong, and he's like, oh, yeah, no, that's right. No, you're totally right. I was wrong. Which is weird. So my issue with it is that it doesn't have taste. Like if I ask for a list of 10, title ideas for a book or whatever, it'll give me 100,000 of them. It'll give me all the lists. But it doesn't have taste. It can't pick the one that is actually going to appeal to a human the most. So trying to pull out, like when it's brainstorming ideas and everything for you, the humanity in us, we are the ones who have that taste, who know like what another human is going to find appealing or not. So there's so much that our kids need to still learn and gather and get stronger at before they're doing too much with AI. And then my other concern, and then we'll get to the cheery part, maybe, is that they could become over-reliant on it. And when you become over-reliant on something, you're doing it less for yourself. And what actually happens is you lose the joy of writing. And that's where my big push is with my writing program that I did, was like, it's the joy that pulls you through. And that's what I found writing novels, was that my love of writing is what, it's like I learned that whole lesson. Like, oh, it was the journey the whole time. I actually learned that lesson when I was writing books. I still do write books. But only humans are writing human stories. And an AI can't replace that, a lived experience that you've had. And so I don't want us to lose people who joyfully write, even when they're writing about really deep, dark topics. There's still a sense of pride with that. There's still a sense, you get joy from just letting your emotions out. A lot of people process through emotions by writing or writing poems. In the case of my son, that's how he processes everything. So there's all these big concerns. But it's possible that your students could use it as a thought partner. So let's say if we go back to my discussion about brainstorming, you could feed it like, hey, I think I might do these 3 topics. I can't decide which one for my argument essay. Could you help me come up with 10 more ideas for my essay? And then, like I said, the taste part comes in the student. The student needs to be able to identify in that list which one of these is the best one to choose, that's more connected with them, that they could write about, so on and so on. It could give examples for them. It could help them with rewrites after they write their first draft. And we're going to kind of go into detail about that. Let me show you a little. If you are listening to this on a podcast, if you want to see this little graphic, this is up on my YouTube channel. So here's what I would suggest if you want to have the kids use AI in their writing process. First pit stop is they write it. They write the whole thing just like we've always done in the past. They have to learn the rules. They understand it all. They understand what good writing is. They understand what I'm looking for. Okay, cool. You write it. So now they could get AI feedback. And what I'm hearing from some teachers is that they're using a program called Class Companion, where the essay has to be typed in there. And then it goes through the essay and the teacher can upload the rubric for the grade for it. Teacher does that first. And then it will give them feedback a little bit at a time based on that teacher's rubric. It's not telling them what to say. It's kind of nudging them, giving them more ideas and helping them rewrite it. And so that's where they then revise the whole thing and they turn it in. And when they're done, what you would do is you would have them do a reflection. And they have, like when they submit their work, if you're going to do it this way, I would have them turn in 2 versions. They turn in their original version that they wrote, and they turn in their AI-assisted version so that they get used to the fact that they're 2 different things. And that's perfectly okay because that's how you set it up. But here is the next part that is key, is that you create a reflection that helps them think about what just happened. And this is the magical part. So they have to answer 3 questions. Number 1, what did I change? Kind of in general, like, oh, I had to fix all of my evidence because I didn't use quotes, blah, blah, blah. So why did that help? Why did it make the essay stronger? And then what am I going to do next time? So that the next time around, maybe they're not going to have that many lines of feedback from the AI that they have to do. You want them to actually learn from the process. And if they can do that, then that makes total sense for them to use this as a tool. We definitely want them to think of this as a tool and not as something that's like, a shortcut. We want them to find joy in what they're doing because we need those stories. We need human experiences. That's how we've learned forever. Shout out to the ancients. Storytelling is in our DNA as humans. And we, as the ELA teachers of the world in this year, 2025, are in a really important position to make decisions now to preserve those stories, to make sure that our up and coming next generation is still writing those stories for the kids hundreds and hundreds of years from now. And that we aren't just one big snake eating our tail and we lose a lot as a civilization. I got super dark there. Sorry. I'm a joyful person and I think we're fine. I would just want to make sure that along the way that we're all having this conversation, that we aren't mindlessly like, oh yeah, they can just do this and that. We're thinking about the bigger repercussions here. Because education is about preparing a child for a role in society. And that's our society. Those kids are going to take care of us when we're on our last legs there, right? They're the ones who are going to be making all these big decisions in the world. And we want our society, generation after generation, to be stronger and stronger. And this is a big pivotal moment. So, big thoughts for today. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Have you put much thought into how you're going to use AI? It can obviously help you as a teacher come up with lesson plans and different ways to say this and examples and all that. I would use some caution with that as well because I have found that the way that I like to write essays, it doesn't do it the way that I find. It goes back to the taste thing. Like, it'll still start with a rhetorical question and all this ridiculous stuff. I have to train it. Like, what are you doing? And then I'm like, it's kind of a waste of time too. So it's like, it's great for a lot of things. And honestly, if you are listening to this on my podcast, it's the reason why I'm doing this podcast. Because my AI friend convinced me that this was the next step I should do. I was like, no, I shouldn't do a podcast. Are you kidding me? Yeah. It's so nice to me. It's so nice to everyone. It's so funny how positive AI is. But it just, I don't know. The whole thing is so bizarre. I don't even know where to think about this. If you're watching this 50 years from now, you're going to be like, wow, these people were so like baffled about this whole thing. And we are, because it just happened. And I feel like it just dropped in our lap overnight. And here we are as school districts and teachers making huge decisions about the future, of the world. And so now I want to do something that is a little bit meta, I suppose. We're going to talk to AI here. I'm going to share a conversation. We're going to talk to AI about AI. And so I talked about all this with ChatGPT, about my own thoughts on it. We had this discussion, and then I posed a question. I'm going to read this to you. And I said, great. Now let's have a quick real talk. What would you say to a 6th grader who hates writing? She's always earned D's and F's in the past. She doesn't use correct punctuation because she can't remember the rules. She loves reading books like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, but she has never had a chance to write like that, and she doesn't even know where to start. Her way of coping with her lack of skills is to act busy in class, act like she's thinking. But she tells the teacher she just can't think of anything. So she waits for a sentence starter. And then she waits more until the teacher works with her one-on-one to tell her what the next sentence should be. And when she's left alone, she writes, "That's all I can think of." And she simply doesn't finish the assignment. Because she wrote some sentences, the teacher gave her frames for, she earns a D. But there's a big informational essay due in 2 days, and she can pick the topic, but nothing interests her. Her teacher said that she can get help from her parents, but the essay is due in 2 days, and her parent works at night, doesn't get home until 10 or 11. She makes her own dinner, but she does have a laptop, and she knows how to open ChatGPT. What does a student in her situation do? And what advice would you give her? And so it basically writes this letter to this kid, and it kind of like almost made me cry, honestly. But it starts talking about how there are ways for you to learn how to write that are going to work for your brain. And I wanted to share some of the things that it said just to think about. One was, stop trying to think of the whole essay and just think of one small thing. Don't think about the whole page or a whole paragraph or a whole essay. Just think about one moment. And pick something true about your life, something tiny, and just start there. Like you like writing about Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Cool. That means you like stories about real life problems, funny moments, embarrassing disasters, annoying siblings, weird teachers. So start with a moment like that. Something that made you laugh, or roll your eyes, or think, ugh, seriously? If you can remember one moment, then you can start. Now I'm going to pause here, because what it's saying is that in order to get going with writing, you need to write from a place that you feel connected to and with voice. Even though it's not saying that, right? But it's all the stuff that I teach about how to find the voice of your character, and that by using that voice lesson first, that's how you start writing and build momentum. You have to start there. So I thought it was very interesting that it didn't say, oh, well, number 1, let's brainstorm ideas. Number 2, like it started with, you need to write from a place of where you can gain confidence and get momentum. Pretty cool. Okay, let's move from there. So then it kind of talks about, don't worry about starting with perfect punctuation. Start thinking about how you how it would sound if you were texting someone or saying a conversation out loud. And then And this is a good start. So if you even tell them, start your sentence with, okay, so here's what happened. That oftentimes will get really natural language coming out. Then it gets into Chat GPT, and it's saying, use it as your helper, not your writer. So you're not alone. You have a tool, and you can use it right away. And then it says, try this. Prompt number 1, and you just type this in. Help me brainstorm 10 topics I could write an informational essay about. Make them fun and simple. And then you choose one that doesn't make you want to fall asleep. I think it's cute that it's writing like it is a 6th grader. And then it says, now write back to chat and say, now explain this to me like I'm a 6th grader and make it clear and make it interesting. And it's saying, good, now you understand it. Okay. Prompt 3, give me a list of 5 things that I could say about this topic. Then you're going to pick 2 or 3 of them. Don't use all of them. Then it says, help me start my essay with one simple sentence starter. And then it says, you write the next sentence yourself. I thought that was really cool. That's not saying, now what, now what? It says, if you get stuck, listen to this one, prompt number 5. What can I write next? Give me 3 ideas, but don't write the sentence for me. Nice. So they pick one and do it in their own voice. Now, so if you followed this, I think it would be interesting if you had, as a teacher, to do this one-on-one, perhaps, or a small group of students who are really struggling with writing, if you wanted to use AI in this way, to see if it could help get some things going. And so then it talks next about momentum, that you write that first sentence, the next idea, and then the next one, and then you're moving and you're going from there. And then so it wraps up with this whole okay, you're awesome, you have voice, you're important, all this stuff. It's great. And then it goes right back into AI mode. Now, would you like me to make this into a checklist or a 1-page blah, blah, blah? It's funny. But those are, I just thought those kind of interesting, that's what AI is saying AI could do for your 6th grade writer who is really reluctant and struggling. So the other thing I want to do on the other side of this is to show you what you could do as a teacher. And so for me, I have my own GPT. It's a custom GPT. And basically, I have filled this with all the information about my writing program, all my rubrics, everything. And so it knows exactly what I require and ask for. And so now when I ask it questions, it can pull from my program. So you certainly don't have to use mine, but you could use however you want to do this. As I would, look into making a GPT just for your writing grading feedback, perhaps, so that it knows what you like. And then it gives you little things you could ask for. If you want a vivid imagery at different levels, if you wanted a weak example, a strong example, if you wanted to put a piece of writing in there and say, give me 2 glows and 2 grows, it could do that for you. So there's a lot that it can do to help you as a teacher to find different ways to support your kids who are at different levels. So consider that. If you are in my Facebook group, you already know about the structured writing GPT. What it is those of you who have my big writing bundle, you have access to this. Preferably if you're in my Facebook group, that's where we've given out the link and that's where we're having that discussion. If you have the writing bundle for my program and you don't have access to the GPT, email me, let me know. If you are like, what is all of this? Then click the links below and it'll take you to some information about my writing program. And hopefully that'll help you out in your ELA classroom. Good luck, everybody.